Hello, Eric and Jennifer. In other words,
Oh,
generic. That
yes.
sounds weird. the, the amazing duo.
Yes, yes. Hello, hello. He says, I love you, Mom.
I love you too. And you guys hit the subscribe button before you forget if you haven't subscribed, and the notification bell. And I'm going to put Jennifer's information at the end, but just in case, psychicmediumjenniferdorn.com. But it will be also in the description box. So, Eric, we're going to talk about ghost.
He's
Huh?
being so funny. He's just being really funny because of the topic that we're doing today.
What's he
He's
doing?
come in like at the front of the Titanic at the front of the ship, like he's
Oh,
like I'm the king of the
I'm the king of
world.
the
Yeah.
world. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
funny. Well, I
Yeah.
thought that this person suggested this topic, ghost ship, and maybe she was referring to only one. I can't find her email, but it looks like there's a bunch of them. So we'll just
Yeah.
really quickly go through. Let me see, like 10 years ago, another one said, it's like this Japanese, well, let me see. Okay, the Caleuche, Caleuche, is a mythical ghost ship, according to local folklore and Chilote mythology. It sails around the Chloe Island at night. And that's in Chile. Is that true? This mythical ghost ship?
Yeah. So, well, what Eric is saying about this particular ship that you're asking about, he says it's mythical in the sense that it's not there anymore in the physical world, but it does come from an actual ship.
Oh.
This is actual. There was an actual ship.
What happened to it?
It sunk. He says it sunk.
Okay. Yeah.
And
it says it always sails at night. It appears suddenly through the fog or mist, brightly lit. What are people then seeing?
Well, like an apparition. A lot of this, what Eric is saying is these different ones, because there are a lot of different ones. He's saying sometimes it's residual energy. Okay, so like if something happens in an area, it leaves an imprint. It can leave an imprint on a place. So some of this is just residual energy that's just people are catching glimpses of.
Oh, cool.
Some of it truly is like ghostly ships. Like,
I mean, can a ship be a ghost? I guess. Oh, I bet you anything, like the dead sailors, can thought create reality. Just think it into reality.
That's exactly what it is. It has to do with the souls that were on the ship.
I must have channeled that. Either that or I'm just all that in a bag of chips. Anyway, so the ship's crew is said to consist of dead, shipwrecked sailors along with witches. The witches are said to leave the ship by riding a seahorse named Caballo Marino Bingham. It's like Bingham, not even Hispanic, but apparently the witches and shipwrecked sailors are a happy crew. On calm nights, it's said music and laughter can often be heard coming from the ship. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, no. So, Bingham added. The last name was not Bingham. It's Caballo Marino is the name of the seahorse. Ugh, whatever.
Yeah. So this is true. Eric says there is a crew that's on it. It's a very happy. Some of that, he said, has kind of come along with the mythology of it, the story of it.
Yeah.
He says there weren't really like the witches and stuff actually on the initial ship. Yeah. But it was a very happy, like the music, and yes, this is true. But he says this was an actual ship.
Cool. Here's a picture of the apparition, I think.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Okay, next ghost ship. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait, what? What is this one? No, that's a different one. Okay, I think this is different. Okay, in May of 1845, the HMS Erebus, Erebus, and the HMS Terror, what a name for a ship, Jesus, departed England and set sail for the Canadian Arctic. Their goal was to travel through the treacherous waters, not good, of the Northwest Passage that separated the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Led by Sir John Franklin, the ships were to collect samples and conduct scientific studies along the way. Out of the 134 officers and men on the expedition, not a single one ever returned. Messages later discovered by a rescue mission indicate the ship became trapped in ice off of King William Island in the Canadian Arctic. That Franklin died in June of 1847. Ooh, it was there for a while, and the ships were abandoned on April 22nd, 1848. The initial survivors attempted to cross the ice and reach safety on the Canadian mainland. So, so what? So some survives. Good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, those Erik is saying those ships, people still see those two. They must be apparitions.
Yeah.
And that, he said, that has a bit more in regards to the one we just talked about. These ones have a bit more of an ominous.
Oh. Not the happy sailors.
Yes.
They didn't load up with rum.
No.
Oh, and a bottle of.
No.
No.
There's definitely an ominous feel to those, like unfinished business, a lot of anger on there, he says.
Have they found the what were they angry about?
He says what he's saying, what Erik's saying, is that it was like the crew got separated as far as like what they thought they should do. Some wanted to turn back and others didn't, and it was like fighting amongst the people aboard, on the ship.
And then when they got stuck in the ice, it's like,
yes.
I told you.
Yes.
Oh God. Well, why couldn't they wait until it thawed? Why didn't it thaw out? I mean,
he said they really truly weren't prepared. They weren't. They didn't even think that they would get stuck in the ice.
Oh jeez.
So they just not prepared. Not prepared.
Yeah. Okay. Any other gossip or interesting tidbits about those two?
Yeah, he's saying if these, if you're out sailing and you see these ones, this is, it's to pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. If you're out sailing and you see these ships, these ghost ships, pay attention to what you're doing in your surroundings.
Oh,
yeah.
Because it could be ominous. I mean, it could be. Wow. I wonder, maybe this is it. I'm not sure. They don't really caption it, so I'm not sure if it's the next one I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
I think this is, though. I really do. At least one of them. So, anyway, no. Okay, I see. This is the next one.
Yeah.
All right. So, did they ever find the two ships, I wonder?
Parts. Erik is saying parts of them.
Okay.
But they must have, gotten banged up or something and come apart with the ice and the,
Oh,
and then stuff moves. It's like, how the ocean is. He says stuff moves, stuff gets broken up.
Yeah.
And that's the feeling with these ones. He says the ships also weren't, like strong enough to make it through here anyways.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's how they found the messages on the remains of the boat. All right. On December, I won't give the date anyway, just the month and the year, not the day. December 1928, the København, a Danish East Asiatic company, sailing ship left the Rio de la Plata. Notice my nice accent. In the area between Uruguay, I'm kidding, and Argentina, and en route to Australia. Put an extra shrimp on the barbie. Never mind, I'll stop. All right, it was notable for having 5 masts. This be it. Okay. And she was a well-found vessel, fitted with wireless radio, an auxiliary engine, and ample lifeboats, writes Hamish Ross in Sea Breezes magazine. A training ship, she had a crew of 60 men, many of whom were cadets, some from very prominent Danish families. Okay, money don't buy everything. The ship was in touch through radio with the Norwegian steamer William Bloomer on December 21st, but after that, it was never heard from again. Ooh, what happened to it?
And he said, Erik is saying that was it too. The crew were never nothing.
Wow.
No crew was ever found. They sunk. They just sunk.
Where?
The radio, whatever they were using.
Yeah.
Erik says there was like there was a storm. There was a storm.
Oh. And it fried the radio? Is that what you're about to say?
Yes.
Wow.
What he's saying is that like lightning.
Oh.
And they just couldn't.
Did it burn up the ship?
Yeah, they couldn't. It happened so quickly. Happened in the nighttime, so they don't know what's going on. It happened so fast, and they all die. He says some by the lightning bolt.
Oh, good. That's a good one. That's a quick way to go. So where did it? So it burned up, at least almost entirely, maybe, I don't know. And then what was left sank.
Yes. Yeah, along with the people.
Whereabouts?
This is where I suffer.
Oh, you in geography. I know. Most people. Okay, so can you say which ocean it's
out in the middle? Out
in the middle of nowhere. All right.
I wonder if they'll going.
Is there any ghostly apparitions associated with it?
Yes, actually, he says that people have seen that one because it's very distinct because of the 5.
Oh yeah.
So yes, he says people have seen that. But he says they made it a little bit more than halfway to where they were going.
Okay, so that tells about where it could be. Go find it, somebody. Maybe there's sunken treasure there. I get 20%. Just kidding. Okay. Oh God, Lisa. Stop. By the way, a little known story. Christina, my eldest, has always been, since she was little, super scared of being on like little boats, afraid the engine, if it was a single engine, and she'd be caught in the middle of nowhere. And she had dreams of being on a ship. She had this recurrent dream where Erik was real little, like 4 or 5, and he fell overboard, and a shark bit his head off, and oatmeal came out.
Oh goodness,
that's a weird one. Okay. Okay, and she ran into our room screaming many a time. All right, in 1879, the HMS Eurydice, I'm going to say, Eurydice, a Royal Navy training vessel, was lost while sailing near the Isle of Wight, Wight. A sudden snowstorm sunk the vessel, killing 364 crew members on what had been a calm day. The storm occurred so suddenly the ship's crew didn't have enough time to react, according to news reports.
Yep.
There it looked like it was pretty stormy.
Yeah.
But, so I guess it was calm, and then everything just ratcheted that big snowstorm.
You know what Erik would call, what he said, what we would call that now, and I feel like this term just came out like a few years ago, a bomb cyclone.
Oh, yeah.
They have in the Northeast with the snow, they get those, but he said it was basically like that. It was high winds, very, very stormy, and of course they didn't have the technology to know.
That's horrible, dying in cold water like that. I went to the Titanic Museum, and there's this thing of water. You put your hand in it. It's the temperature that the people, were dying in, and you cannot keep your hand in there for very long at all. It's just awful.
I will tell you, Erik says it's quicker that way, though.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I've been in the cold tundra, almost about to die, so I do not like cold.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about any apparitions, any messages from a spokesman, crew member, anything that you want to add, Erik?
What Erik is saying is that they all crossed. The whole crew crossed over.
Okay.
So if there have been sightings of this is the residual energy. And what he's saying is because so many people died in one location, it leaves an imprint.
A big energy imprint.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's saying with that one in particular, the crew all crossed over, so they're not earthbound, they're not stuck here.
Oh, so look, this is interesting. It supports that. The Eurydice continued at full sail. Sorry about that. I just didn't
Oh,
know
you're
on the
fine.
next page there was more. With her gun ports open before disappearing in the midst of the blizzard. So-and-so writes. Ultimately, there were only 2 survivors. The ship was refloated, but being heavily damaged was scrapped. Since then, there have been stories of a ghostly HMS Eurydice haunting the area where the ship sank. Sailors and visitors are also said to have witnessed sightings of a ghost ship off the Isle of Wight. In the 1930s, a British submarine reportedly encountered the ghostly vessel. Additionally, Prince Edward reportedly saw the ship while filming an ITV documentary in 1998. Cool. Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it left a big imprint with all those people dying.
Yeah,
in that one spot.
Do I even want to speak up and say, well, we all passed, it was painless, got out of our bodies?
Yeah, actually it's chaos, but comfort because there were so many.
Oh,
so many people, so it's just like, well, this is it. It's relatively
misery loves company.
Yeah, once the body gets used to the coldness of the water and goes numb, it's
I can't imagine. Was there a spiritual mission for that one? And maybe we can see if there's any on the other ones that we've talked about. But
well, and what's interesting is that I was also hearing that some people were knocked out anyways. And it has something to do with the pressure, and some people have really just like kind of hit their heads or something. So so a good portion of them were not even conscious. Maybe that was done on purpose. I'm asking, was there any, like, could they have done that? And it was no, just like something happened with the pressure inside, and kind of took some of the air out.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Inside the ship.
Yeah, because there's no more air coming in, so the air is getting kind of breathed up. So there's some of that going on, and yes, this was a spiritual contract for those on board who died. Yes.
And what was the purpose of it? To increase or improve maritime safety, or I'm not going to put words in the mouth.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily to improve the maritime safety. However, things were changed moving forward because of that. But what Erik is saying about this is that oftentimes there are mass deaths.
Yeah.
Because anytime there are mass deaths, believe it or not, he says it raises the vibration of the rest of the people left behind because there's so much support. So people are experiencing the same thing at the same time. And so there's like a spiritual contract to kind of raise the vibration. Mass deaths will do that. And that was
like 9/11. Everybody pulled together. Patriotism soared. People were very supportive of each other and their country, etc.
Yes.
And the families of the victims. Yeah.
Yeah. And this particular incident falls into that category.
Okay. What about with the København, the one that was with the 5-masted schooner with the wireless radio? What was the spiritual contract there?
Well, that was much. Does it say what the crew was? That's much less.
I think it's people. 60. Let me see.
much less people there.
I don't. Oh yeah, 60. Right.
Okay, now that does have to do with preparedness. There was something there to learn about being prepared for this type of a journey, and it did change some of the stuff. Erik is saying they didn't even have enough stuff on the ship. They didn't have enough stuff. They didn't have a backup. So for journeys like this, it did change the vulnerability of the communication.
Yeah. You should have a backup radio or something. And maybe was there anything that had anything to do with the prominent Danish families that lost I mean, like, hey, money can't buy you everything. I mean, is there something there for those people?
Yes, because then they would have pushed for, it's like something spins out of the technology of this in regards to the storm.
Yeah.
Because they must have been able to radio ahead that there was a storm coming or that there was not good weather, because they knew there was a storm. So there's something that kind of changes how that's done when you're traveling in storms and in weather.
Yeah.
Like finding how to skirt around stuff or being more secure.
Yeah.
When you have to go through the storm.
Okay. What about the two ships, the Terror and the Erebus, that was trying to go through the treacherous Northwest Pass? Gotcha.
There is something there about just not.
134 men.
It was too aggressive. Eric's saying even at the time, people were saying it's too dangerous. You shouldn't do this. It's too dangerous. You shouldn't do this. And so there's this lesson here in like kind of arrogance and no, I can do this. Yes.
Yeah. It's foolhardiness, really.
Yes, and that feels more like the captains and then, you know, the crew and stuff, you know, just their time to go. But this arrogance, this trip should not have been taken when it was.
No, gosh.
But they did it.
Yeah. They had got to go-itis then, or he did probably.
Yeah.
Now El Caleuche, the one with the happy crew off the coast of Chile, you know, and people hear music. And, what was there anything there, spiritual contract wise? I wish I'd asked these at the time. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Erik is saying that is more like about the effect it's had since it's sunk, you know, because it's created such a history and the happiness, and it's more about the sightings of it now.
Okay.
Sometimes the other side, you know, that happens where there's ghostly stuff here, because when you see something like that, it opens your eyes, you know.
Yeah. So for awareness.
Yes.
Of the, you know, not everything that you don't see is not real. I could have said that differently. It was a double negative that's going to mess things up. Anyway, you know what I mean. All right. Did we talk about this 640, 364 on Eurydice? That was to elevate the consciousness. Okay. Now, the one really famous one apparently is the Marie Celeste. Let me read about that. 1872, a boarding party on the British brigantine ship named the Del Gracia found a ship named the Mary Celeste adrift at seas in the Atlantic Ocean not far from the Azores. The ship was completely deserted. The boarding party found. Of the 10 people known to have sailed aboard the Mary Celeste, none were ever found. A lifeboat was missing, but the ship's log gave no indication. So why the Marie Celeste was abandoned? The boarding party found that there had been some flooding with at least one pump out of order. The ship was carrying 1,700 barrels of alcohol. They were sailing while drunk, and a few of which had spilled open. There was little damage, and the flooding posed little problem. A crew from Del Gracia pumped out the water and sailed the Marie Celeste to Gibraltar, where the British authorities began an investigation into what happened. Again, this is 1872. They were unable to come up with a definitive answer, and as the case of the case of the Marie Celeste has remained unsolved ever since. Ooh.
Yeah. Okay, so there was, what Erik is saying is that there was some panic about the water that was coming on, but that there was also illegal stuff going on. I don't know if alcohol was illegal at the time or what this was.
Oh.
So instead of radioing or logging, it's kind of like they sort of, you know, he says you can make a manifest of what you're taking and what's coming and who's on there. And it doesn't have to match up with what you're actually doing. So when the water starts to come on the ship, there's a panic about getting caught with whatever this is that they're not supposed to have on the ship.
Okay.
And again, I don't know if alcohol is illegal at the time. I don't know if that was the problem. So they thought that they'd be better off to get into the lifeboat and abandon the ship rather than get caught and get in trouble. And they died.
Well, why did they adrift at sea? I mean, was there no wind, or I don't even know if it's a sailing vessel or not. Probably is. 1872, yeah.
Well, there was because when they left the boat, they just left it adrift.
So they just said, "Let's get out of here. It's going to sink. We're taking on
Yes,
water."
yes, yes.
And if somebody nearby sees, okay, I gotcha. So
Yep.
did they ever make landfall in a deserted island?
No.
They just died in the ocean.
Yes.
And nobody's ever recovered that lifeboat? Has it sunk or?
Yeah, no, that was it. They were just never seen or heard from again.
Wow.
And Erik says these would have been people who had people and would have, gotten back in touch with their family and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, they just died. They were, he says that it gets into some kind of current.
Oh, yeah.
And
how far away from the Marie Celeste did they end up?
A ways. They were hundreds of miles. They were alive for a while.
That's awful.
Okay.
Yeah,
not pleasant. This was not.
Is there any ghostly apparition associated with this? Do people see?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
No, not with this one.
All right. Now, any spiritual contract of that? It's best to be good.
There's always going to be something, he says, with something like this. There's always going to be, some sort of a spiritual contract. But he's talking about the exit points, and they all had an exit point right then.
Oh.
Yeah. And so he says it's kind of like if they hadn't all chosen to go then, this could have gone a totally different way, but they all decided, on their subconscious that this was when they were to go. And this is how.
Okay. So, but is there a group lesson or spiritual?
Something shady there. I would be curious to know more about this particular one, because there's definitely something shady going on that ship.
Ooh. Okay. So, hey, Erik, maybe you could pull in one of the guys, maybe that wants to speak. Oh, you don't like to do that. That's fine. Well, can you speak for them then?
Well, no, it's just that there was something illegal. So I would like to know if is alcohol illegal at this time? Is that why they abandoned the ship? Because they didn't need to abandon the ship.
Yeah.
The ship
for their life.
Correct. For their lives, they didn't need to abandon the ship. They could have gotten help, but they chose to leave the ship because of what was on it.
So, Erik, what was it? Spit it out, boy. Don't make us grovel.
I just am drawn back to the alcohol. He just
alcohol.
The barrels of alcohol.
Yeah.
It's got to be. So even if it was legal, they had to have been doing something illegal with it. Because he keeps saying it was illegal. What they were bringing was illegal.
Okay. All right. Then one of the most famous ghost ships of all, of course, is the Flying Dutchman, said to haunt the waters near the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. Let me see what they say. The term Flying Dutchman actually refers to the captain, not his ship. Let's see. There are several variations of the story, but the most famous one is that the ship's pilot, Captain Hendrik van der Decken, who lived in the 17th century and served with the Dutch East India Company, encountered a storm off the Cape of Good Hope. Good Hope. Yeah, not for him. He swore that he would spite God's wrath and take his ship into Table Bay despite anything that God and the elements could throw against him. Well, that wasn't good.
No.
But the ship hit a rock and sank, taking the entire crew along with it. As punishment, the captain and his ghostly crew are said to sail the waters for all eternity, hoping one day to be forgiven. They were hence refused admittance into every port and are ordained to still to traverse the ocean on which they perished till the period of their penance expires. Right.
Okay. So there, much like the very, very first one that we were talking about, there is some folklore that has been added to this.
Mm-hmm.
However,
there it is. Okay.
Yes, this particular vessel, it is the ghosts, so to speak, the souls that were on board that keep this apparition going. Now, this is not a happy partying, living it up crew like on the first ship that we talked about.
Yeah.
This is also very ominous.
Yeah.
This is not, if you're out sailing, this is not one that you want to catch a glimpse of. And if you do, you better check everything is working.
Yeah.
You better make sure, because this is not a good omen to see this.
So it's the same as the one off the coast of Chile, but mean spirited and ominous instead of happy and singing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There is there's anger.
Mm.
There's anger associated with this still.
Yeah.
Fear, sadness, heaviness.
Yeah.
This is definitely one, if you were in the presence of it, if you were sensitive, you would feel the oppression of it.
Yeah. So it looks like probably, and of course there's no, God didn't smite them, and there's not a penance, right? I mean, that's silly.
No.
But if they believe it, then they're probably just going to keep sailing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
No, Erik says eventually all the earthbounds get to cross over,
right.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there needs to be earthbounds.
Yeah.
Part of the soul contract sometimes is to become earthbound here.
Okay. So, Erik, would you consider yourself earthbound, or you just got that turnstile going back and forth? Yeah, I thought so. Good.
Yes. No. I can't communicate with earthbounds. I'll go to haunted places and and nothing. I can't, nothing. I can't get pictures of them, nothing. I don't know why. I just can't. The earthbound.
Maybe the denser and just darker, I don't know, denser energy maybe?
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so what was it seemed like probably the arrogant captain was the main one that had the spiritual contract, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. And they tried to overthrow him, Erik just said.
Wow.
They tried to, and actually he killed somebody before they sunk.
Okay.
Like he was a little bit crazy.
Wow.
Is what Erik is saying.
Sounds like
he was a little bit crazy, and they tried to overtake him.
Yeah.
But he was just like, well, Erik just said he believed himself to be a god.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe bipolar disease going on there. Could be. Must have been mentally ill.
Schizophrenia is what Erik says.
Oh wow. Yeah. And then paranoia and stuff. Oh wow. And then you get auditory hallucinations, so he probably heard God, threatening him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what was he supposed to learn from it?
So Erik said at that point he had gone past the point of being able to learn a lesson. Prior to the decision, no, I'm going through this, he could have learned to be humble.
Yeah.
He didn't. And then he says once he goes past that point, it's the point of no return.
But it's hard with mental illness. I mean, unless he was supposed to learn that before, maybe he wasn't born with it, or I don't know.
Yes. Oh, it's incredibly incredibly difficult with mental illness.
All right. Is there? Go ahead.
But he was saying this guy had opportunities leading up to where he could have said, you know what, you're right, I'm going to turn around. And he, instead of listening to the people, he dug his heels in and got,
Cray.
Yes.
Any lesson for the crew or contract? Anything there?
One of the things that was big for that is not to follow blindly.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not to follow blindly.
Yeah.
But he says, don't worry, they eventually get to go over. And I will say, Erik has just said this. He says sometimes people see ghost ships, and he does like the air quotes around the ghost ships, and he says it's us over here, because we can have a ship and we can sail around, and that veil thins or something happens. It's not always a ghost ship. Sometimes it's like seeing the other side of the veil.
Oh, cool. Why? Just because you're in a ship or something?
Well, yes, you have to be out in the water, but he says it's just
in certain areas, like vortices, or
like where there'd be like certain parts of the ocean, just like certain parts of the earth. The energy, I guess you could call it like a portal. The energy is easier to kind of see through the veil, like they say in October the veil is thinner.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's because of like the the month of the dead and that
So
they say the veil's thinner in October. there are certain parts of the world where the veil is thinner, or it's easier to kind of go from their
Get a
plane
glimpse.
to ours. Yes.
And but does it have something to do with vortices in some cases anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here's another one. We're almost finished. The SS Valencia, 1906, sank off the coast of Vancouver after encountering bad weather near Cape Mendocino, and thereafter became a subject of mysterious ghost stories. Eventually, 37 of merely 108 people were saved using lifeboats, among which one simply disappeared. Since then, many fishermen have claimed to witness ghost ship sightings with human skeletons aboard, even after many decades after sinking.
Yeah, this also feels it's like this is the impression it left there.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's not really a ghost thing. Is this the ship that had Erik keeps talking about
it's really hard to see. It's too dark, but I don't know, just try.
Well, let's raise it up. There we go. No, that's not the one. I don't know if you have any other ships on there. Erik is saying that there's one ship that everybody was dead. When the ship was found, everybody was dead. And it was toxic. There was a toxicity in the ship that killed everybody.
Oh, that's the next one, I think.
Okay.
Okay. No, I think. Okay, so this other one, the SS Valencia.
It's the residual energy. Residual energy, because the skeletons, that's just the symbol for death being there. It's not like even earthbounds don't appear as skeletons typically. They would appear in human form. So this is a residual energy. Some negative energy left.
Any purpose behind that particular tragedy?
Yeah, for the survivors, of course, the ones who died, it was their time to go. But for the survivors, it was having had the experience, the survivor's guilt, the trauma.
Yeah.
There was lessons to be learned there.
Okay. Yeah. Loss. Okay.
Yes.
How to deal with the survivor's guilt.
Control. Yeah, not having control.
Yeah.
Okay. That was an intense experience for the survivors.
Wow. The Ourang, Ourang Medan, or I don't know, Medan, in 1947. Here we go. That's this one.
Okay.
2 American ships, while passing through the Strait of Malacca, wherever that is, went off to a rescue mission after receiving a distress call from Ourang Medan. The caller claimed to be a crew member and conveyed the message of death of everyone else on board. His words weirdly ended with, "I die." The rescuer found the ship unharmed, but the entire crew, including the dog, dead, with terrified faces and expressions. Oh my God.
Yeah.
For further investigation, the abandoned ship caught fire and exploded. That's probably that same chemical. The probable reason could be an overexposure to nitroglycerin, which it was carrying illegally.
Yes. Yep.
The other mystery revolves around the story of paranormal activities and or alien invasion, and that's why they were terrified. So
yeah. What Erik is saying about that is whatever this was that was in the air, number one, it dispersed by the time the other people got on there. So it had to have been released out, but he's saying it created like a paralysis or like a spasming.
Wow, yeah.
That's what happened with the faces. It's like the muscles like hardened. It's why it happened. He says in the rest of the body it happened, but it looked like rigor mortis would look.
Yeah. Or rhesus sardonicus, which you get with tetanus.
Yeah, but he said the reason it was so noticeable. Yes, it was so noticeable in the face because everything else was just so rigid. Which is what we'd expect anyways. But it did it to the whole body, and whatever this is had dispersed into the air. And when the other people got on there, it didn't affect them because it wasn't as toxic.
So, was there anything involving aliens or paranormal activity?
No, Erik says not here with this. There wasn't. However, he does say the explosion was done to cover up. That was on purpose.
By the people who came? Or
Yes.
Wow. Why? Were they involved in the illegal activity, perhaps?
Yes, or so not not necessarily the Americans. Somehow somebody got there and blew this up to get rid of evidence.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah, that was not oops, it exploded. That was done on purpose to hide stuff.
Wow. Okay, so what was the whole contract there, Erik?
Don't do illegal stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say that too.
Yes. Well, there is part of that, like, you know, the warning of, hey, if you're carrying toxic stuff on ships, you've got to, you know, these chemicals and you're doing this kind of stuff, there are dangers, there are risks. So there is some there for that, but also for the mystery. This is one that's a mystery. Because it's never fully been answered, and we need to have mysteries. We need to have, was it this or was it that? And so that was part of it, because it was so weird. It was so weird.
Yeah. Okay. Now the Carroll A. Deering, Carrolla Deering. This ship ran aground in the notorious Diamond Shoals near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina in 1921, where it was stuck for several days before any rescue team could arrive. Later, the Coast Guard found that the equipment, logbook, and 2 lifeboats were missing from the abandoned ship, otherwise undamaged. Investigation showed a few other ships had also disappeared under mysterious circumstances around the same time, which could be the pirates' barbarity, crew's mutiny, or extraterrestrial activity around the infamous Bermuda Triangle. Anyway, there.
Yeah. So in this particular one, Erik was saying pirates.
Okay.
So they must have cleaned out what was on the ship, and the people were murdered.
Okay. Well,
then
they tossed the bodies over to be eaten.
There have been alien stuff where people just kind of disappear, but he says sometimes those people on those ships have shown back up.
Oh, okay.
So it's so like, weird. Oh, the lifeboat was gone, and then suddenly they're found 2,000 miles away somehow, or 200 miles away, and so there has been that sort of stuff.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Any reason for that whole thing?
For the pirates or the aliens?
Not anything. What's
the pirates?
The whole
that was
tragedy.
Just, the pirate stuff, that was just criminal activity that people got caught up in. So there would be, sometimes if we choose a life where we want to experience what it's like to be abducted by pirates and murdered, well, that some pirates have to come along.
Sign me up.
Yes. So so there's that. And then with the Bermuda Triangle, with the aliens, that's just sort of like, any other time when aliens come down, and
that's just what they do.
Grab stuff every once in a while.
Yeah. So, any apparitions associated with that one too?
No. Erik is saying no, not with that particular ship. No.
Okay. The Baychimo, all one word. Oopsie, forgot to read this part. No, there was no part. Amazingly, it remains adrift for the next 38 years. I'm missing a page, I guess. And was frequently sighted floating aimlessly in the waters off of Alaska. Weather conditions had always made it impossible to salvage, but since 1969, it has disappeared completely. A few expedition programs had since been launched to trace back this mysterious ghost ship.
So what Erik is saying about this particular one is that was a ship, an actual, because a ghost ship is sometimes an apparition.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a ship that has no crew on it. And he's saying that was an actual ship.
Okay,
that was just drifting around, not an apparition. This was an actual ship, and it sunk.
Okay.
You can't float around for that long.
Yeah, you really can't. 38 years? Jeez.
Yeah, and it just eventually sunk.
Does anybody report apparitions of the victims or?
Yeah, actually, he says, yeah. But that doesn't have an ominous feel to it. It's just kind of like, He says when people are out there sailing and they're lonely, it sort of appears then.
Okay.
Yeah, like it'll just sort of um, uh, like appear so that you don't feel so alone and isolated. This has got to be a very isolated area.
Oh, it must be.
Where it appears. Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually kind of calming, this one. So it's not necessarily got like the negative, ominous kind of energy. It's like sort of feels like it's protecting the seas in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, 38 years of just aimlessly sailing around there.
I know. But, there was one, I think it was a World War II ship, Navy ship, that sort of disappeared, and then it returned to present time, but they were still thinking they were in 1940 something. I can't remember. There's something about that. Anyway, y'all leave it in the comments section if you know what I'm talking about. But they were like, what the heck? Because they didn't experience any, the time lapse for them was completely normal. And all of a sudden they're like, I don't know how many, 30, 40 years in the future.
Yeah. There's something like different dimensions happening there.
Oh, yeah. It could be related to the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then there's the Octavius. It became more than just a legend back in 1775 when a whaling ship named Harold found the Octavius aimlessly drifting somewhere. I missed that page. It had been floating around for 13 years and completed its passage to the Atlantic while returning to England from the Orient via the Northwest Passage, but as a ghost ship. So I don't know. I mean, it seemed like maybe it came back empty, 13 after.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's another one of the ghost ships. Erik is saying that the term is talking about an actual ship.
Not an apparition
that
of a
has
ship.
no crew on it. And there's something about that where it's like half the crew leaves, and then it's like they slowly start leaving, and then there's not enough people to like run the ship, so then everybody just leaves the ship.
What, they leave on lifeboats, or they leave on at ports, or what?
Yes, both actually. Yes.
Why do they leave? Food is terrible.
You go stir crazy sometimes out in the ships for so long. So it's that whole thing again of like what do they call that when the ranks, like the division in the ranks and stuff, and you get people on there who want to be like, you know what, this is ridiculous, this guy's an asshole, whatever.
Mutiny.
That's the word.
Okay. So
those kind of things. Yes.
Yeah. Was there anything else? Like there was some sickness there, like the plague, and people wanted to get the hell out of there before they got off, or anything else?
Because it's empty. There's no dead people.
Oh, well, that's true. Okay.
So no plague, not sickness. They just
an asshole of a captain.
What happens is there's just not enough people to run the ship, so we can't stay on the ship.
So what happened? What did the captain do?
He left.
Okay.
He left the ship.
Did any of them like die in their lifeboats, or?
Yes, some, but a lot of them made it places that Erik is saying the captain pretended to be somebody else. When he got on shore,
Me? I didn't captain that ship. Who?
Yes.
Not me.
Yeah, well, it was easier to just be somebody else back then. He says you can't really easily get away with that now.
Yeah. All right, the Joyita, or maybe it's Joyita, Joyita, in 1955, almost finished. This fishing and charter boat was found abandoned in the South Pacific 5 weeks after it had been reported overdue. The air search mission, and this again was 1955, could not trace it until a merchant ship found it drifting almost 600 miles off of its original course with no sign of crew or cargo. There was a doctor's bag and several bloody bandages on deck, and the radio was turned to the universal distress signal. But what happened there was never revealed, as none of the crew was ever seen again.
Yep,
I think that's it. So what happened
Erik says that was pirates again, and the people were murdered.
Oh. Rude.
Yeah. But
Okay.
he says before they were able to turn it to the distress.
Yeah.
Before they were all kind of taken off. But they were taken to land somewhere, not buried at sea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, taken to land and
with the cargo. What kind of cargo were the pirates after?
It says it really didn't matter. You know,
Yeah.
it really didn't matter. You know, with the pirates, when they saw a boat, they didn't care really what was on it. Everything had value to them.
Yeah. So was there any treasure,
No, not in this. Yeah, not really in this ship. It wasn't.
Okay.
But it's kind of just that we're gonna do it because we can.
Oh God.
You know.
Any lesson to be learned? First of all, are there any apparitions that people see?
Yeah, that's
of the people or.
No, not the people, but wherever this area is, there is apparitions. And I guess I'm asking him, well, if there's no people, he said no. The one person died on the ship, but they took on the boat and they took the body. This feels like more of a boat to me than a ship.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one person died there, on the boat.
Okay.
And so yes, it does create a bit of an apparition with the ship, like an earthbound. It's like the other crew is not earthbound, and they're not there where the boat is.
How was he killed? Stabbing, shooting?
Yeah. Nope, stabbing.
Stabbing. Bastards. God. All right, so what's the lesson here? I think it's carry an Uzi every time you go out where there's pirates.
Well,
and I got one more. And that's it.
I mean, the lesson, what's the lesson? It was just their time to go. Not really any significant, huge lesson that's popping out.
Okay. The last one is the Lady Lovibond. An interesting story of love, jealousy, rage complements the tale of this haunted ship.
Yeah.
In 1748, the day before Valentine's Day, it was set a sail as a celebration of the ship's captain's wedding. Nevertheless, his friend, who was also in love with her, out of vengeance, steered the ship into the notorious Goodwin Sands, sinking it and killing all on board. Well, that's including her, the one supposedly loved. Wait, since then, it could be seen every 50 years sailing around Kent, 1796, 1848, 1898, and 1948 has witnessed the ship's sightseeing, and some boats had actually sent out rescuers, assuming it was in distress, but later could not be found.
Yeah.
Albeit there was not any confirmed spotting in 1998, this famous ghost ship continues to be a legend. Wow.
Yeah, this one has a lot of energy.
Sounds like it because there's so much love and hate,
Yes. Yeah, so that one is Erik says it has been seen other times, but he says the 50 years, he said humans like anniversaries.
Yeah.
They like, like it adds an extra degree of mystery to it. And there were sightings in 1998. Yes, maybe they weren't reported, but on that last 50 years they were. But this is actually earthbounds on the ship that are keeping this there. And I'll tell you that bride has got big energy there.
Wow.
It's like her energy is the strongest one on there.
What is it? Anger or terror or love or
it's all of that. All of that.
Wow, just
yeah, he says she's just she's just got such a big powerful energy that she sort of keeps it all locked into place.
Okay. Yeah. So did the guy who ran it into the whatever sands, did he know he was going to die and that the bride was going to die?
Yeah, he didn't care.
Oh God. Did the bride actually love him but was marrying the other guy instead, the captain?
She loved the captain.
Okay. What an asshole. Oh my God.
Erik said no, she loved the captain and couldn't wait to get married and was, but he comes to her before he does this and like declares his love for her. But Eric's saying he had real crazy eyes.
Oh,
Real crazy eyes, and when she says she doesn't feel the same way, this is when he does what he does.
Oh God, what an
Yes.
asshole.
Unrequited love.
Yeah. So, what's I gonna say? Why every 50 years? I don't get that.
It honestly, it's just, like if you were to be married for 50 years, that's a big deal. Like,
Oh, okay, that's it then.
So
It's
yes,
like
that's what he's saying. Like for her, because again, she has the strength here.
Yeah.
In this, and so you get to your 50th wedding anniversary. That's a huge deal.
Yeah. So the ghosts that are on there, are they happy and celebrating, or is it the ominous type?
It's more what Erik is showing me is that it's more like what they would have actually have been doing. So yes, mingling around, milling around, doing this, doing that. It's very much like it was right before it went down.
But do they realize that they're dead?
Well, yes, they're
in all these cases.
No, not in all the cases. No, because what Erik says is that sometimes earthbounds, which I refer to earthbounds as ghosts,
right?
Souls that have not crossed over.
Yes.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes it's a conscious choice to know I'm going to stay here.
I see.
But he said it would be too cruel if they always knew that they were dead and just couldn't go.
Oh, no.
So it's like, on the other side, there's so much more we can see.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a filter here. We have a veil here. We have a block here. A lot of times earthbounds have a very similar block.
I see.
Okay. So they realize something's like a little bit off, but
yeah, it's like, how come I'm not hungry? How come I haven't eaten for 300 years?
But what he does say about them is they're very much like the other side. They don't really have a timeline like we do.
Oh yeah, that's true. So what do they know this asshole did it, or are they like totally?
Because they knew before they died that no.
So how is he being treated?
Well, again, it's kind of like they go back to playing the roles that they were before this happened.
Okay.
So he's not locked in ghost jail, Erik said.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, that's.
But what he is experiencing is unrequited love.
Oh, and okay, is he the main one with the spiritual contract, something to learn, or are they as a mass also?
Yes, but he has a big one of like, hey, if you can't get what you want, that doesn't mean you just
how to handle unrequited love, disappointment, things like that.
Yes, not getting away.
For the rest of the crew?
Well, there would be the sadness, the love that you couldn't experience, the not having, children, this, all this stuff that you missed out on, that sort of thing that they're kind of, I don't know, in the mix of all of this still.
All right. Well, that sounds awesome. Hey, Erik, you wanted to add anything else in general about ghost ships, babe?
Yeah, he says you're better off not ever seeing one.
Okay. Well, I don't get around that much. So, all right. Thank you, Erik. I love you. Jennifer, I love you. You guys check her out at psychicmediumjenniferdorn.com, which I'll put right here. And y'all hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss the next one. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.